Hello, everyone. Let me know if you see me. So I didn't try run this. I was like, if it doesn't work, just go from the phone. I have accepted the fact and ta-da, it worked. So if you see me, drop a hello. It's a toss in the air whether it works on Zoom or not, but it did today. So I am super happy. And that means you get a wonderful background as well. As our holiday season comes, I felt like a background with lights is very appropriate. So if you see me, drop a hello below. I see 5 eyeballs with me. Drop a hello. I see Sherry is here, Charlotte, Tanya. Keep dropping your name below. So this is easier for me, again, from Zoom, because I see your comments a lot more, see your emojis and all of that. But yes, so today we are live from Zoom. So no delay here, right at 6 o'clock. So we're doing well today. Hi, Charlotte, good to see you. Who else has joined me? I see 8 eyeballs. Drop a hello below if you're joining me here or on YouTube as well. Okay, awesome. So this is live number is 137 now. I can't even keep track. But this is our last Q&A of the year. We do have a couple more lives planned for the end of the year here. It's just this is going to be the last Q&A. So if you guys have questions you want to ask, it might be your time to ask because you don't always get direct answers from me. You might be talking to my team in Messenger, but this is your chance. So I see Jennifer. Yes, you're so awesome. And Tanya has jumped in and Margaret has jumped in. Awesome. All right. So I want to go through some quick wins here. I do want to say a huge congratulations to all 13 new fierce ladies who are doing the 21-day anti-inflammation system. We did give them a big intro on Tuesday yesterday. So, but I'll just read out their names. And yes, I'll just go ahead. So there's Margaret Watts, Rosalinda Parrish, Maria Springer, Karen Benraw, Faith Michelle, Cynthia Rutledge, Jackie Slavinsky, April Symbolisti, I hope I said it right, Jackie Petaway, Phyllis Adams, Natalie Belu, I know it's French. I can't quite say it. Rena Mangato. And I have to say, we forgot Lisa. Lisa Pelcher, who's been an angel in our community for like 2 years. She will forgive us. I do have to publicly apologize because she's one of our angels. I think we kind of like, oh, she's part of the program, but we didn't put her on the diagram. So Lisa, special shout out to you. We're going to put you back on the diagram and welcoming all the 21-day anti-inflammation ladies. So, but we love you. We know that Lisa is very close with all of us, the angels in the background. So, yeah, see, Natalie Chabot jumped in. Lisa Bailey's here as well. Iwana's here as well. And oh, perfect. You tagged everyone. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for tagging everyone. I keep forgetting that. Yeah. And maybe put that announcement. I think last time you put an announcement in the group, it kind of helped as well. Yeah. So huge shout out to these ladies. I do know that right now they are working on cleaning out their pantry. As I see in the 21-day group, lots of things from people's pantries and people going, OMG, I can't believe this is in my pantry, or like, hey, I didn't know this, really? So I know that there's lots of learning going on in the 21-day anti-inflammation system. So super excited for all of you. Just like I mentioned, the 21-day anti-inflammation is not going to be readily available after this. It's just because we're changing things. So the 13 ladies who are doing it, congratulations that you got in, because there may be no more of this program where it's going to be changed. And then the other ladies in the group, I know there's 40 something ladies in the 21-day anti-inflammation system. Like I said, if you want to join in on this challenge, you still are welcome to do that in that private group. Okay. As well, I want to give a shout out to Pamela Irwin. I don't know if she's on here tonight. She and I met yesterday, and I'm super, super proud of her. She is in week 4 of her transformation program. And in terms of inches, she's lost 13.25 inches, and her weight has started to shift. She's been, I think, at a plateau for a while. So this is really good that we started to break her plateau. But most importantly, is that when we looked at her comparison photos between her beginning photos to now, it is like unbelievable. Like Michelle Carson, same thing, where her puffiness, her body was so puffy, bloated, red, and she looked miserable on her face. She even said, I have a double chin on that like left picture. I'm like, you do. And on her right picture, it was like, so her body's tighter, toner. She's her belly started to come in from protruding past the breast line to beneath the breast line. And she says, I think I look younger. And I'm like, yeah, she looks younger. Her double chin is gone. Her skin is smoothed out, and her back, it's always the back. And she might do her wim post on Friday. She says she's going to do a wim post. She might post some pictures. So stay tuned for that, because her back went from puffy, fat spilling over the bra line to so much smoother and just a smooth back. And this is just in a few weeks of actually changing her food and addressing inflammation. And so I say pillar one, the first thing you must do is address inflammation. And I know she is super excited. She's like, I cannot believe it. I'm like, there you go. This is why I talk about inflammation so much, right? I see Phyllis Adams jumped in. Peggy, good to see you. Katrina, I see you as well. No, Shone, woohoo, and Andrea as well. Awesome. So let's dive into the Q&A. We have some questions, and I think it's enough because we have about 5 questions. And, if there's more, we might answer some, but it doesn't have to be a super, super long live. Okay, so I still have lots to cover. So the first question is from Lori Sylvester. So Lori Sylvester asks, what is too much exercise? So this is a good question. I actually saw this on YouTube in terms of someone asked me that on my YouTube channel, because I talk about don't overtrain, cortisol, all this type of stuff. People get kind of like, well, then what should I do? Right? Like, they're like, why don't you tell me? So the first thing I'm going to say is, what is too much exercise is dependent on the person, right? It depends on your fitness background, your just even like, were you an athlete when you were younger, your lifestyle factors right now, and how much time and ability you have to recover, right? So therefore, there isn't one standard like here's exactly, but I'll give you some things to think about, because I think that's what people are asking. So in general, like if you are training multiple times through the day, I would say maybe that's a little bit much. It depends. And let's be honest, sometimes competitors near the end or when they're trying to reach a goal may do twice a day. It doesn't always mean overtraining, but it could mean that, especially as women are aging. A lot of you, or you have already increased inflammation in your body, that could mean maybe too much. So something to think about: long cardio sessions. So if it's too long, then that could potentially affect it. And I always get asked, well, what's too long? Well, I think like anything between 20, 30 minutes is good. If you're starting to hit 45 to an hour, it's starting to get a little bit long. But if you're super fit, like if you've been fit for years and years, and that's just what you've done, that could be fine as well. So there's some variation in that, right? But if you're, struggling with like lots of belly fat and all of this, like where you don't have the ability to do so much cardio, but you're pushing yourself to do a lot of cardio, that can be also overtraining. Maybe you're doing many group classes. I know some people love group classes, and because they're free, a part of your membership, you jump into this group class and then you go back and do another group class same day. Then you do a Zumba afterwards too. And like, it may just be too many group classes. And then the last thing is to think about potentially just not enough rest and recovery, right? So remember, too much is when you cannot, okay, so what is too much exercise is the question. So it's actually talking about overtraining. So what is overtraining? Overtraining is when the volume and intensity of what you do exceeds the body's ability to recover. That's what overtraining is. Okay. So if you don't have enough rest and recovery, then that means that whatever you do, then it may be overtraining because you can't recover from it. Right. So yes, thank you, Katrina, for tagging everyone. I appreciate that. And hi, Gloria. Hi, Natalie, Tanya. I see you guys all jumped in. Hi, Rosalinda. I see you, and Pam and Sherry. So here are some signs I want you to think about. Again, I know people are looking for prescription, but I can't say, I mean, what is hard for me is not hard for like as in like, or let's just say what is not hard for me is going to be hard for a lot of you, right? Like I love burpees. Sherry, if you're on here, she's gonna kill me. I love burpees. Oshone, don't you love burpees? And I love burpees, but if I gave burpees to people and it was like beyond what they can handle, it could be overtraining if it was too much, right? But like it may not be too much for me because I've been doing it for a long time. So the question of what is too much exercise is dependent, but I gave you a few things to think about. Now I'm going to go through what are signs that you potentially are overtraining. Okay. If you feel like there's some of this that I'm about to talk about, signs of overtraining, maybe put below if this is you, any one of these that I'm going to talk about. Okay. So you might be overtraining if Sherry is here. I had to put the burpees there, Sherry, but you love me. I only gave her in one program. I'm not pushing her too hard, Sherry. Okay, so here's the signs. Okay, so you're at a plateau. That could be a sign. You're gaining or losing weight unexplained. That could be a sign. Belly fat is not shifting. That is a big one. Persistent fatigue. So like you're always tired. You just can't seem to not be tired after training and training in the gym. You're irritable, lots of mood swings, potentially decreased performance in your training. You have increased resting heart rate. So meaning like even at rest, your heart rate's higher than normal, like as in it almost cannot come down. Insomnia, inability to sleep. I'm not saying all these are, but it's just some of these are factors. You're always getting sick, so always having weakened immune system. You have potentially prolonged muscle soreness. So this one is, I want to explain this one because you're going to get sore if you push your body, which is normal. But the regular time frame is 24 to 72 hours, okay? So the peak is around 48 to 72. Usually I get it around 48, yeah, like the second day, usually third day. And so usually it'll peak around 48 to 72 hours. If you are sore for maybe like 5-6 days or a week, that might be too much, okay, just as a sign. But you should be sort of sore a little bit, but not for too long, okay? But Rosalinda said, I age out of burpees. I used to love them. Rosalinda, you will love it again once you get it in, once you start doing it. It's all about doing burpees regularly. Oh, it's a joke. I know everybody doesn't like me when I say burpees. Okay, and then another one is potential injury. So if you're finding you're getting injured, you're dealing with lots of injuries, Kat, if you're on here, I know we talk about this and she's dealing with some injuries, and I looked at her workout program. But now she's listening and I'm super proud of you, Kat. Like I looked at her, what she was doing in her training. I just went like, that's way too much. You are overtraining. This is why you have injuries, right? So injuries is a good sign of overtraining. And number 12 is hormonal imbalances. So hormonal imbalances, obviously you can tell from doing tests like blood tests, but a lot of the things that I said above relates to hormonal imbalance, like unexplained weight gain, belly fat, mood swings, all of those relate to hormonal imbalance, right? So that could potentially be signs that you are overtraining. It's not for sure. I mean, there's many factors involved, but I think that it's good to kind of consider that, right? And if you are not training that much and you still struggle with all of this, you're like, wait, everything you said, I have that, but I don't feel like I'm overtraining, then welcome to the world of menopause women, because your bodies are going through hormonal shifts no matter what. But in terms of the question of overtraining, that's why having, so this is the next point I want to make, having good structured programs is extremely important to maintain like know what you need to do so you don't overtrain or undertrain, if that makes sense. So good structure program is very important to making sure you don't suddenly just randomly do a whole bunch of stuff one day and don't go into the gym 4 days and go again. It's like staying consistent is really key. Natalie, I see you put something there. I used to like burpees when younger. Now I modify and walk my burpees. Yes, and that's fine. You can walk it out. Yes, if for burpees. I'm making a joke because I know nobody really likes burpees, maybe except me and Oshone. I think Kat likes burpees too. But I often say to ladies, like if it's like a knee thing, like you can walk it out. Like it doesn't have to be a jump or anything like that. I just like it because it is a very full body movement that can work legs and can work chest when you do a push-up at the bottom. So it's a full compound movement that incorporates strength and cardio at the same time. This is why I like burpees a lot. You see me making a case for burpees, everyone? People are like, no. I see La Parita jumped in, Debbie jumped in, Sybil jumped in, Audra, Debbie Bowman, Debbie, and Joanne and Angelina. So awesome. So I guess with that being said, does anyone feel like they potentially overtrain? If you think you might overtrain, put overtrain below, overtrain. Or if any one of those things that you feel like, oh, like I'm stuck, I'm plateaued, nothing's happening in my body, you can put plateau as well. Sometimes plateau is about overtraining. I know, Angelina, you're on here right now. I know we spoke about, because you're in another program, you're doing my program, and like, how do we cut some things out? Because yeah, like just too much is just not going to do your body good, right? So, and then the other thing is, if you feel like you need more structured program, put structure below. The thing with structure program is it gives you boundaries. That's what it is. It gives you boundaries, right? It's like a box. It gives you boundaries. Like you can stay within this box, and then that's how you can assess, track, and progressively overload your program. But if you don't have boundaries in the box, you have no structure program, then you bounce around all the time, and there's just like so much. You could be overworking a muscle, you could be like underworking a muscle, and that's why I talk about structure program. So if anybody feels like they need better programming, put structured program below. Okay. Lisa says burpees with a Bosu ball is even more fun. Yes. Lisa was in my muscle accelerator, so she knows those Bosu burpees. There's a lot of burpees. I probably have maybe 50 variations of burpees. Anyone eventually want to learn some of those variations of burpees, you can contact me. So all right, so next one we're going to talk about is Jennifer. Jennifer, you asked, can you tell us the most nutrient dense foods we should include in our diets from each category? So she asked, like, so what is the most nutrient dense foods for protein, carbs, and fats? So the first thing is to understand, what does she mean by nutrient dense foods? Okay, so nutrient dense foods is Sherry's like, no, just one, Clarice. Sherry, you're going to end up loving burpees. I know that you're going to end up loving burpees. So, and then you'll ask for more later. So nutrient dense foods is high amounts of essential nutrients relative to the calorie content. So meaning like the food you eat, okay, is there's a lot of nutrition in it for how much calories is in it. Now, the opposite of that, like not nutrient dense foods, is things that have a lot of calorie, but no nutrients in it. Things like a big cookie, cakes, those are really high calories, but not great nutrition. So nutrient dense food is the opposite, meaning they don't have a lot of calories per se. They have more nutrition packed in there for how much calories it is. Okay. So the first thing I'll say about this is that any whole natural foods I'm going to probably be a fan of, right? Whole natural foods is the key. And the list that, like, she's asking for some suggestions, it can be endless, or there's a large variety. And so I'm not gonna sit here and just like list off like a bazillion things. I'm gonna give you some things to think about in each category, but there's more, right? And I'm gonna talk about how to think about some of these foods too in a bit. So in terms of protein, you want to have lean meats. So I like lean chicken breast, turkey breasts. I like white fish. I love egg whites. Those are really great. Like that's not meat, but it's protein. I consider egg whites protein. You can have plant-based protein. I know Angelina on here is vegan. So lentils are good. Chickpeas are good. Quinoa is very good. I like quinoa. I like tofu, edamame beans. The only thing is understanding when it comes to plant-based proteins, they do mix a lot in the categories of macros. So an example would be tofu is usually higher in fat as well as protein. So you got to be very careful how you're balancing your vegan-based proteins. Angelina, you're on here, and I know we talk a little bit about that balance of that, right? So there's that, and then if we go to healthy fats, you want to consider healthy nuts, like natural nuts, not sugar coated, not flavored in this weird way or mixed into this massive trail mix. Okay, I'm talking about natural nuts. That is things like almonds, walnuts, chia seeds, pumpkin seeds, as well as avocado. That's a very good source of fat. Avocado oil as well as olive oils are good. There's a lot more, but again, just give me some ideas to think about. Carbs, in terms of nutrient dense, brown rice is good. Quinoa is good. I mentioned it above already. Sweet potatoes. And the reason why quinoa is here again is because quinoa is a mix between carbs and protein. So it's again, understanding the mixes. Sweet potatoes is really good. In terms of carbs, you can include vegetables. So broccoli, spinach, Brussels sprouts, kale, those are all really like good, dense nutrient options. And then fruits, you have berries. I like apples. Like, even things like peaches and stuff like that, although I like berries the most because berries is the lowest glycemic, and for the nutrient you're going to get there is the lowest caloric count for those. So those would be some of my choices. Now there's a lot more. Those of you who work with me in my private programs, you guys do get a list, and even that list I tell you is not exclusive, right? Like you can add more as long as you verify with me. So there is more. I'm just giving you some ideas of what to think about. And Jennifer, you do know this because you do have my list, but I know you're trying to see what I would say. So that's what I would say. Like if you ask me what I generally eat is like white fish. I like white fish. I love brown rice. I love yams. I like I didn't include asparagus, but asparagus is awesome for vegetables, so those are kind of things that I eat. And I always have my last time I showed this, my Brazil nuts. Nuts are good, natural Brazil like nuts that are not flavored, that doesn't have sugar or anything like that, is really good. So now what I want you to do now, some of you might be like rapidly writing down different things that you're hearing. I want to talk a little bit about the importance of understanding this. So the first thing is, if you are eating whole natural foods, you're on a win already. That's excellent, because most of our society doesn't have that, or there has too much processed things in there. Okay. But the next step past this whole natural foods is you have to know how to balance these macros. Okay. Hear me out, or put it below, balance macros. Okay. If you do not balance your macros properly, you are going to potentially create still not the most optimal situation. Rosalinda, is that correct? Rosalinda on here, who did my transformation program, and her macros were very off in her fats. We know that. And that created a situation in her body. So let me say this. Yes, you are already going to be way healthier than anybody if you eat whole natural foods. You're on a good run. But if you don't balance it well, you're still potentially going to risk maybe potentially weight gain or hormonal imbalance. Because if you have too much of one thing versus another thing, you're still going to create some situation in your body. So it's to make sure we know like a quality of food, but also quantity of food and what we need for the different macros and the combinations. And another thing is, oh, Rosalind said, good quick whole foods for pre-workout energy for a heavy lifting day. Oh, interesting. Okay, Rosalina, keep that question and I'll come back to that because I want to answer all the questions first. Or Oshone, if you can note down her question for me. Okay, so in terms of another thing to think about in macros is the crossover macros, meaning depending on which food you're talking about, some foods are pure macros, meaning they're more pure towards a protein or carb or fat split, meaning by themselves, they are more of a protein macro. By themselves, they are more a fat macro. Of course, many foods can cross over, but there is certain foods where it's more pure. And then there's certain foods where it's like a big crossover. And the big crossover ones can create in a situation where you are over in your macros or you're eating too much of something. Now, I'll give you a really simple example. Rosalie says, my darn nuts, guilty as charged. But once you fixed it and a lot of your vegan options as well, because Rosalinda was also vegan and eating a lot of vegan options, you fix that, then your body changed so much, right? So an example would be like salmon that somebody may understand. So salmon is excellent protein, but it is super high in fat. So depending on how you know how to mix and combine your macros together, you may suddenly find yourself like spiking your fat levels like unbelievably. Like I have seen people's like charts where like they don't realize it because they don't understand the crossover macros. And then they are now at 65% fat. Like that's a pretty high fat. Like we're starting to get into keto or something like that. You know, that's really high fat, or it's not keto and they're super high fat. They don't realize it and they still eat the same amounts of other things. What do you think is about to happen? You're going to probably go over way too much in your calories, which would lead to weight gain. Right? So too much of anything is going to still potentially be turned into fat. I said this last week, too much protein, too much carbs, or too much fat can still be potentially turned into fat. Your body has an ability to figure out and change things and, you know, through different metabolic pathways. So it's still about not just quality of food. Quality of food is number one to fix, but number two is understanding your macro balance. This is a common problem I see amongst aging women in that a lot of women, as you age, you do become more cognizant of food because you know it's important. You become these label readers, which is good. Not many, actually. Only people who've done a lot of my programs tend to be really like crazy about labels. But if you don't fix the next thing, you're still going to be missing a big component of what's happening in your body. So if you are feeling like you need to better understand macro balance, I want you to put macro balance below. In terms of, and most of you who are in this group, then when you first enter the group, I give a free guide, which is the macro guide, which is sent in your welcome email. So you can still request it, but most of you have it. That macro free guide is going to give you some general and pretty specific ways of calculating macros. But what I will say is that is taught in generality, meaning like, here's the calculation, here you can use Harris-Benedict equation, here you can do this, here's approximately what you can do. But remember, it's still very general. But if that's something that you're just like, I just need to know generally, that's fine. You can request the macro guide so that you can put macro guide below. But if you actually want to understand, truly learn more about macro balance, I want you to put macro balance below. Okay. So lots of people are popping in. I see Maxine jumped in, Hilda jumped in. Debbie says I was fat or sugar phobic. Yes, you were. And fat, you actually needed that, and you were carb phobic, meaning Debbie was afraid of even eating healthy carbs. So that was a problem, right? Do you remember, Debbie, what she told me? You should even put it below. She had trouble breathing. Do you remember, Debbie, telling me this? I remember first month or two, She was so fatigued all the time. She was tired. She would have trouble breathing. She was just totally under eating her nutrition. She was trying to lower her calories, not to mention she was eating very low calories. But not only was she eating low calories, she was eating improper macros and was undernourished, basically. That was Debbie. And now like we fixed that and then brought her calories up and everything. So it really has changed a lot, Debbie. So yes, awesome. So I see that, Natalie. You should have gotten that at the very beginning, but we'll just double check and send that to you for sure. And I see April, you jumped in as well, and files. Awesome. So yes, if you want that macro guide, you can put macro guide below. And if you want to learn more about macro combinations, so the macro guide, just so you know, is teaching you about how to think about macros, and like there's like your own generic calculation, which you can Google it anywhere, but I kind of explain it, but it doesn't go through macro combinations. Macro combination is like about being taught what that looks like in general for you. So if you want macro combo, then put macro combo below. All right, so let's go to the third question here. Sherry, yeah, Debbie says 600, 800 calories at that time. Yeah, but now you have changed a lot, Debbie, so super proud of you. So let's go to Sherry's question. Hers is, what is my take on chewing gum? That's a good question. And I just spoke about this with Pam, I think. I can't remember which of my clients I spoke to about this. So this is my take on it, is I'm not a big fan of chewing gum. If it's once in a while, I totally get it. If you need to freshen your breath, I get it. If you need to, like, I actually have to chew gum a lot of times when I am landing from an airplane, just my ears just get really plugged. And so I like to chew gum as the plane is coming down. But, you know, anything in moderation is okay. So what I'm addressing here is if you tend to chew gum like every day or as a habit, this is where I'm more concerned about that, not the one-off, not the once in a while chewing gum, okay? So why am I not a fan of chewing gum? Okay, so there's a few things. Number one, all my clients can answer this, I'm pretty sure, all my current clients. The ingredients in gum, a lot of times I am not a fan of. There tends to be a lot of artificial sweeteners. There's going to be acylophenone potassium, which is an artificial sweetener. There might be sucralose. There might be, I know there's aspartame in one type of gum. I forget which one it is, but aspartame is very, very unhealthy. And studies have been done on it that, you know, it could potentially cause cancer and other things like that, you know, and then there's, or there could be sugar alcohols. And again, I talk about sugar alcohols being pretty disruptive to your gut biome. And so in general, that means if you tend to eat gum all the time, you're creating a situation in your gut system that isn't too healthy or is causing inflammation, bloating, digestive issues. I can't remember which client of mine, her name is kind of going past my head right now. But she overall was very lean. She kept telling me she's bloated all the time. She doesn't understand why. And obviously I started training her, and this was a while back. And like, again, she's a lean individual, but she just didn't know why she had that like that protrusion in her belly. And we tracked it all the way back to her gum. I may tell you, because she chewed a pack of gum a day. And so, yes, not a big fan of too much gum because it can cause a lot of digestive issues, bloating. And a lot of sugar-free gums could potentially, and of course, the research is still always ongoing for this, but it could potentially cause insulin release. Like your body may take that. It may still like respond in a way like it thinks it's a sugar and release insulin into your system. That insulin release is going to cause your body to want to uptake. Okay. But the problem is when you chew gum, there is actually no real nutritional value to it. There isn't, right? So now your body's confused because the gates are open. They opened it because that's what insulin does, is open your cellular gates so that you can start to uptake. There is nothing coming in. They're confused. They're like, what's going on? So then the other signals start going, and then they start increasing potentially your craving signals, potentially. Okay. Again, when it comes to hormones, there's so many signals, but the thing is, when you think about it, is if you potentially eat a lot of gum and chew a lot of gum, there is a signals you're sending your body that your body may think there's something coming in, but there really isn't something coming in nutritionally. Then it gets confused and it's trying to like compensate by releasing this hormone. Then you're suddenly like chewing gum and then you have more cravings. So it could mess with your hormone signals, right? And again, the research on chewing gum and correlation with appetite signals is inconclusive, meaning some people have effects, some people don't. So I can't tell you for sure, but I will tell you that it is probably not the best if you might be messing with your with the inflammation and with your signals, your appetite signals, right? Ghrelin and leptin are your appetite signals. So there is some studies that have shown that by chewing gum, you could potentially suppress your hunger signals temporarily, but then because of what's happening inside the body after you chew gum, then increase the hunger signals after. So it kind of then messes the whole system up. So hopefully that makes sense. It is different for every individual. And like I said, if you chew a piece of gum once in a while, don't worry, it's fine. But if you are chewing lots and lots of gum, or you're using it to like distract yourself while you work and all of that, it may not be the best. And that could cause digestive issues for your system. And I'm curious, everyone who's listening here, do any of you struggle with cravings? If you struggle with cravings, I want you to put cravings below. We might have a cravings live to send you. And that is something I was considering as one of the lives I'm going to do before the end of the year, is actually doing another cravings lives. Who here actually struggles with cravings? Put it below. Because if you are struggling with cravings, and it does mean that there is an imbalance in your system, and that you're probably not balancing your food very well. Okay, so put cravings below if that is you. I see Jackie jumped in, Jennifer jumped in, Cindy jumped in, Surf speaks. And Surf, I see you in the morning going live. I know you also have like a talk show and everything, which is super cool. Laura, yes, and Tracy, I see macro combo. So yes, we will reach out to you. And Kim, I see you popped in as well. Yeah, holiday cravings are coming. That's right. That's kind of why I might do a live actually on this, right? And kind of want to see like who might struggle with cravings. And it might be holiday cravings, meaning it's triggered by a time of the year. As things start to come around, you're like, oh, I want that. Oh, I want that, right? So Natalie, see cravings for munching and chips, right? So Natalie, that one is definitely something about the way you're balancing your macros. When you have those types of cravings, it has a lot to do with the way your food is combined on that. So yes, I see macro guide there, Judy. Awesome. So we're gonna go on to the next question. So Oshone asked these questions, which is great. Now I know Oshone asked these questions because she coaches a lot of you, so she actually knows a lot of the concerns people have. So I really like this question. So great job, Oshone. The question is, what are some tips for someone who often feels like they don't have time to exercise? So sorry, there's a lot coming in. What did I want to say here? Yes, best if no chips in the house. Exactly, Natalie. Margaret, you have cravings for munching as well. So Margaret, yeah, in your 21-day program, it's going to help right now. You're in that. I know, Natalie, you're as well, but Margaret, sometimes the cravings can be even deeper than that, like the macro balancing. So just keep that in mind. And Jennifer says, my friends and family want me to bake and it's torture. But Jennifer, you can bake some healthy ones. You've got good options now that we've gone through that, right? And Sherry says, since balancing my nutrition, most cravings have disappeared. Exactly. So if you really understand how to balance your macros, you shouldn't have that many cravings, right? Have cravings, but is getting better daily. Alive would be helpful. Yes. Yeah, that's probably one of the planned ones coming down the line, just so you guys know, because of the holiday season and everything. So awesome. So the question Oshone asked again, what are some tips for someone who often feels like they don't have time to exercise? All right, you guys ready for this? So everyone has 24 hours in a day, right? And we all know that. No one has 25. If you have 25, you're on a different planet. And I want to be on that planet with you, especially if you get to have 30 hours. Clarice wants 30 hours in a day. And everyone has a lot of responsibilities. Like, you could be mom with multiple kids. I know, and I know Shona knows, we know moms that have 6 kids, we're doing multiple things. Juggling, taking care of parents. You might be, having to clean your parents' place or deal with people, passing away, or you might have grandkids, you might have something you're pursuing, maybe multiple businesses. So everyone has a busy schedule. It's very rare to meet someone that completely has nothing going on in their life. Okay, everyone is busy. So the first thing I want you to try to understand, this is a mindset hack, is if you say I'm too busy to do something, that is your first downfall. Okay, because when you say you're too busy, then you think you're an exception to the rule. No, you have time. Everyone has time. Okay, now I want you to hear me carefully on this. It all depends on a few things. The first is, if we use a luggage analogy, okay, everyone is given the same size luggage, 24 hours. It depends how you pack that luggage. That matters. Okay. And if you have followed on YouTube, I don't know when I saw this, but expert luggage packers, I'm like, how do they do that? So there's people who can pack so many things into their luggage, the same size luggage, and where somebody else could only pack about half of the amount of content into the luggage. Now, why is that? Well, when you study what they're doing, right, is they have like special techniques of folding it, so it's more like compact. Then they have like vacuum things that vacuum the air out, and they take out the air so that things can sit closer together. And even though this is a luggage analogy of packing your luggage, okay, what it is saying is that everyone has the same room amount of time in a day. It's just how you choose to schedule your activities that matters. And there is a lot of airtime, meaning there's a lot of slots in between that you potentially are just not catching yourself. Here's a few examples. You might be scrolling social media and 25 minutes go by. That's 25 minutes. You could be taking an extra 20, 30 minutes talking to a coworker. That's another 20 minutes. You might drive home and sit in your car for about 15 minutes afterwards, and I do that sometimes. So I am calling myself out on that, where I'm sitting in my car doing stuff. And that's like 15, 20 minutes, and like time just, there's a lot of airtime. And so if you actually start to look at where all your airtime is, you put that together, there might be 30 minutes at least, if not an hour, that you found for yourself. Okay. So you might have the time, you just may not have been as intentional about it. So why am I speaking about this is because if you say you're too busy to work out or too busy to like actually fit that in, it's not that you don't have time. It is you did not schedule or prioritize it. Okay. So it's a moment of truth for it. You either didn't schedule it or you didn't prioritize it. Okay. If you schedule it intentionally in your day, it should appear in your schedule, in your calendar, or you need to have prioritized it, meaning it has to be important enough that it's at the top of your list. Okay. So prioritization means that you, make time for what you feel is important to you. Okay. So you make time for what you feel is important to you. And my mentor always says this: where you put your time and where you put your money will show me your values. Where you put your money and where you put your time will tell me your values. So if you say you value health, but you don't schedule time enough for working out, for meal prepping, or doing the things necessary for your health, what you say is important to you is actually not true. And I know I'm being pretty strong, but this is actually true. So if you truly believe I value my health, I'm going to schedule my workout. I am going to do this. I am going to prioritize it because it's important to me. Because let me tell you, if you were like, oh, my kids are important to me, but you never schedule time with your kids, then I have questions about how important your children are, right? But of course, most parents are like, no, my kids are really important, so you're going to spend time with them, right? Where you put your time, where you put your money is where your priority is. Okay. So Now, a couple more things, because I know that sometimes people do say, I don't have time, I don't have time. So that's why I want to be helping you reset your mindset on this. Okay. The other part of this is, so remember, prioritize, schedule. The other part is think about strategies. So those of you who read James Clear, Atomic Habits, you guys know this, that Atomic Habits talks about stacking things together to make it easier to do. Okay. So when you stack things together, it's just going to be, there's flow in it, right? So an example is if you are on your way home, you don't go home and then try to come back out for workout. You might go home on your way home, go to the gym right away so that it's stacked together, right? That is just a simple example. Like for me, I like to stack things when I'm out, that I'm already there, and then I do the next thing or go to the gym. So it's like learning how to stack. So it's called habit stacking. So that can potentially help you. Another strategy to help you would be setting goals. So all my MA muscle accelerators, we just did a goal setting session last week. If you guys remember, I think Tracy, you were on there. And goals, and Jennifer, you were there as well. Goals give you a timeline. So it is very easy when there is no goals to push it off. Say, I don't have time. Oh, I go tomorrow. I go next week. But if you have goals, you're more likely to make it happen. So set goals for yourself, especially with the New Year's coming. I really strongly encourage you guys to set goals, because without goals, you won't intentionally tell your time where to go. And if you don't tell your time where to go, it just leaves. It's like money. If you don't tell your money where to go, it just leaves, right? I have so many people who tell me, I make this many $1,000, and then we go through their budget and it's like, where did the money go? They're like, I don't know. Where do I spend half my money? And it's like, you need to intentionally tell your money where to go, intentionally tell your time where to go, right? And so set goals to give yourself timelines to hit that. And the very last thing I'll say about this question, if you're just popping in, I see Jessica popped in, Deanne popped in, Ruby, Lakeisha, Yap, Oz, Jennifer, and Rena. Awesome. So the question is, what are some tips for someone who often feels like they don't have time to exercise? The last one is accountability. Okay. So again, I said this on another live, that people will tend to perform less for themselves and tend to perform more for others. When others are involved, they are more accountable and they will push themselves more. And where they think they don't have time, if they knew they were to see their coach tomorrow, they have time. And I say that because I always say, right, like I am motivated because if I'm seeing my coach tomorrow, I'm going to make more time to go and train because I'm about to see my coach. So the accountability is really important to taking away that excuse. Okay. And just to put it plainly, when someone says, I don't have time to work out, often it's an excuse. Now, could there be just a really minor, like maybe exception or grace? Absolutely. Of course, if you maybe are sick with COVID in bed or something like that, I wouldn't expect you to work out. If you just dealt with someone who maybe just passed away, I wouldn't expect you to work out. I'm addressing the general population, okay? Of course, there's times when you need to give yourself grace, but if you tend to be a person who may use that as a reason why you're not consistent, then I want you to be honest with yourself, look at yourself in the mirror and say, am I actually being honest? Do you actually don't have time? Is it you can't or you're not willing? They're two separate things. You can't, like you have an inability, like you're in the hospital, you're not able to work out, or you're not willing. If you're not willing, the willingness is the problem. The willingness is, I didn't make the time. I didn't schedule it. I didn't prioritize it. I maybe wasted some time, which we're all human, we all do it, or I didn't set goals, or I don't have an accountable partner that is helping me, right? And I want you guys to think clearly about that, because everyone has 24 hours. The person who steps on stage that is competing, that has great physique, who is strong, muscular, has the same amount of time that you do too. And they are busy just like you, but maybe different busy. Maybe they just have multiple businesses, or, you have multiple responsibilities. So I just want you guys to keep that in mind. And Oshone says, I like luggage analogy and the mindset shift. Yes, it's a mindset thing. That question in Oshone is a mindset. It's a mindset shift. And so, yes. So I want to know, the people who are listening, what might you need to work more on if you're not consistent? Okay. If you're not consistent, what do you need to work more on? Be honest with yourself and put it here. Do you need to work on scheduling more? Schedule, like you don't schedule, put scheduling. Maybe you need to put prioritization. Maybe you just don't prioritize it enough, right? Be honest. Honesty is the key to change. That's what my mentor says all the time. Honesty is the key to change. So is it scheduling? Is it prioritization? Is it you don't habit stack things together? Maybe you don't have a goal. Maybe you need to goal set, or maybe you need accountability. So which one do you feel like you might struggle with? Maybe put it below, just to kind of help yourself realize some things, right? And so Monica says schedule, prioritization, and mindset. Yes. Thank you for being honest, Monica. I think that's a lot of people. I think a lot of people don't schedule it, and they think they're just going to feel motivated the next day to work out, or the next day, but it's not scheduled. So it just keeps getting pushed, right? So I'll be honest, in all of this, that's saying to you, fitness, I'm strong at. Taxes, no. Oshone is going to laugh because I always tell her, oh my gosh, I need to schedule to do my taxes more. So therefore, you guys can laugh with me. It's okay. I'm human as well, and I'm not perfect. And we're all strong at certain things, but maybe some of you aren't strong at fitness, and you're not scheduling and prioritizing. And I think you don't schedule and prioritize things you don't like, right? So that's why. So you guys can laugh at me too. So it's okay. Rosalina says accountability helps so much along with setting goals. Exactly. Very good advice. So yeah, accountability definitely helps. Sherry says prioritization was my weakness. Yes, Sherry. And then now you have a structured program. You're on something where like I'm going to be not only monitoring, but meeting with you every couple of weeks. And then, so you're like, okay, she's going to come in, she's going to look at things. There's just like more accountability involved, right? Rena says scheduling, prioritization, accountability. Yes. And Margaret says, I need a goal to be motivated, and then I need to change up my routine. Yeah, Margaret, I would definitely say setting a goal is really important, because I believe Margaret used to compete, right? So like, I think having goals is very, very important. And you don't have to compete, but like just anyone who competes, that tells me one thing: you're pretty goal oriented. Like, as someone who competes kind of has likes to set goals and like to hit goals. So that may be something you really need to work on, Margaret. Yeah, thank you everyone for contributing. And Oshone, you said truth. Exactly. So hopefully, it wasn't, like sometimes I'm strong, but I want you guys to get the point so that you guys can improve, right? So all right, the last question that Oshone asked is, what is truly healthy eating? So this is a really interesting question, because I think like everyone has a different definition of what healthy eating is. But let's start with first, like, what would I generally categorize as healthy eating? Is something that promotes your overall well-being, meaning it is overall like helping you in like every area, like a good sense of well-being, not just one specific area. And then you getting all your essential nutrients, which I would say you getting all your macronutrients and micronutrients. That would be a good balanced, eating. And that the way you eat contributes to preventing chronic illnesses and inflammation in your body. That's what I believe is, if it promotes an overall sense of well-being, you getting all your macronutrients, your micronutrients, and that you eat in a way that prevents illnesses, then I think overall you're doing well with your healthy eating. Okay. Hi, Veronica, I see you popped on in. So now let's talk about maybe some of the points of like, what should you think about when you think about healthy eating? So I'm going to go through a number of points here. I think I go through 13 different points. So number one is you want a balanced way of eating. You can say balanced diet, but I don't like the word diet, but balanced way of eating, meaning just like I said above, you want to balance macronutrients and micronutrients. You want to make sure you have your balance of protein, carbs, and fats, and that you have your variety of micronutrients, which I'm not going to go through here. Like there's a lot of different micronutrients you need, but if you balance all your protein, carbs, and fat, you should get a lot of the micronutrients as well. But some people may need some supplementation because maybe, for example, I live up here in Alberta and it gets dark so fast. So therefore, I need vitamin D a little bit more, right? So like depending on situation, you may need some supplementation. So number one is a balanced way of eating. Hi, Yvonne, good to see you. Number two, incorporate lots of nutrient-dense foods. So exactly Jennifer's question is perfect. So a lot of nutrient-dense foods that she had asked about for the list above is eating foods that have lower calories but is packed with tons of nutrition is very key. Number three is you want to make sure that it's a good portion controlled so that you're not eating way too much at once or too little at once, but there's like a good portion control. And this comes down to proper amounts of calories and proper amounts of macros throughout your day. And Pam, if you are on here, Pamela Irwin, we just talked about how she is going to get her foods throughout the day and the way that is going to be split properly. So portion control is important. Number four is limit processed foods and sugar. That's no surprise, but yes, holiday seasons are coming. So being careful about processed foods and sugar. Hi, Terry, good to see you. Number five, healthy eating would be the way you eat addresses inflammation. In particular for menopausal women, this is really important because if you don't address inflammation in your food, that is going to create a lot of chronic situations and diseases and illnesses and lead to those things. So addressing inflammation in your system is really important. Okay. Number 6, I think I misnumbered them, but that's okay. I might have 14 points, is proper hydration. So you want to make sure that you are staying hydrated because obviously your body needs that for proper nutrition absorption and processes. Number 7 is having a colorful plate. So when you eat, you want to make sure you have as many colors as you can because that ensures you're getting a multitude of different, like, nutrients, micronutrients, all of that. So you've always been told have a lot of colors on your plate, right? Another one is mindful eating. So making sure that you are listening to your body, listening to the cues. When are you full? And eating slowly and not like, just like gulping things down. Try to eat a little bit more aware of what you're eating so that, you're not overeating, right? So that's number 8. Number 9, you want to limit saturated fats and trans fats. Little bit of saturated fats is okay, but limit that. And then you want to have no trans fat as much as you can. Trans fat is very dangerous for your body. Number 10, you want to make sure that you have a philosophy around nutrition that is about moderation, not deprivation. So what I mean by that is I always talk about an 80-20 rule. 80% clean, 20% fun. For some people, depending on your goals and which stage you're in, you may need to be 90-10. For competitors, you know the story. Competitors, and you pretty much need to be around like 98-2. But that's because you're a competitor and you're ready for stage, right? So, but like the competition is not lifestyle. So I'm talking about lifestyle. Lifestyle is moderation. So 80-20. So you can still enjoy. Yes. People ask me, Thanksgiving is coming. Does that mean I can't have anything? No, that's not what I said. You can still enjoy some, but just be careful, like not the entire meal, you go crazy. Maybe you understand more like the ladies in the 21-day program. You guys will understand more what to look for and just being aware of that, but you can still enjoy some. I mean, Oshone, and I obviously go to different things and different events, and we're together a lot. She sees me have my containers of food. She knows that. And I even share my containers of food with Oshone, who forgets to bring her food a lot of times. I'm calling you out, Oshone. But I mean, she's seen me sometimes at a restaurant. I might have something fun just because that's just maybe my 5% of the month that I'm having something fun. So it's not like never, okay? Moderation, not deprivation. Um, number 10, or number 11, sorry, we're on number 11, is making sure you have individualized nutrition. So this is really crucial. I want you guys to like really take this in, individualized nutrition, meaning is your nutrition catered to you as a person, your age, your gender, your activity level, your health conditions, how active you are, your lifestyle. So why this is really important is I find a lot of people don't take that into account. They take a lot of generalities from different posts and different things. Those are all good, and that's why people are like, I heard intermittent fasting is good, or my friend did keto and they did so well, and my friend did this, and I always say, well, if it works for them, great, but is it for sure going to work for you? Now, what factors do we have to consider, right? We have to consider that maybe the person you're talking to is not in menopause and you're in menopause. Maybe the person you're talking to is a guy friend and you're a woman, maybe like just depends on a lot of things, right? And maybe the person you're talking to was already very, very lean when they went on intermittent fasting, potentially, who knows? And then you're not there. Like, so you got to remember, like, it's not all one size fits all. So one of the components of healthy eating is understanding individualized nutrition. So with that being said, I still have a few more, but I think this part is very important because I think a lot of people gloss over it and they're trying to find this one size fits all. What's the perfect philosophy, Clarice? There actually isn't one. There is many ways to reach a destination, but I will teach you what has worked for hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, over 10 years. Geez, women that I have coached that have gotten results based on the approach that I have taught, but doesn't mean it's the only approach. But I will say that my approach works very well for menopausal women. And that's why. Now, I currently coach a guy, a couple guys, actually a couple of them finished their program already, but, and I do recommend slightly different. I have similar principles for them, but I do recommend it slightly different. So that's why I say what I say, because I could say something to a guy that you were like, hey, you never said I could do that. How come? Well, because you're not a guy. So therefore, I'm not going to say exactly the same thing or what I allow them to do versus what I would say for you, right? So if you believe individualized nutrition is something you need more of, I want you to put individualized nutrition so that, we can get you the help that you need, the individualized nutrition concept. So Shone, you say, I always appreciate those extra macro meals. I know I'm calling you out, Oshone, but we're super close. So if she doesn't have her macro meals, then Clarice will share it with her. So therefore, we're very close. So that's number 11. Number 12 is part of healthy eating is making sure you cook more from home. That is without a doubt one of your best strategies. Cook your food, cook your food. Cook your food. Try not to buy so many things from outside as much as you can. I know sometimes we don't have a choice, but cook your food. Number 13, you want to listen to your body, okay? You want to listen to your body in terms of like, as you eat things and start to know your body more, you pay attention to how you feel because your body actually will tell you a lot of things. And I will tell you, anybody in my 21-day program or any one of my clients, like even the ones who did it before, who are no longer in the program, you guys know once you clean up your system, as soon as you go back to eating the way that you did before, your body will tell you. Is that correct? If you go back to some of the ways that you were eating before, your body will tell you really fast it does not like what you're giving it. And that's because like you've cleaned it up so much that your body can actually tell you the signals. But if your body is over inflamed, has too much toxins in it, too much inflammation in it, it can't tell you. You sometimes don't even Like, no, you just feel no energy or brain fog, or you don't know, you just kind of like, I'm not sure, right? So I would say a part of it is lower inflammation so that you can have a clean slate to understand what food is doing to your body. So number 12, listen to your body, is, yes, still listen to your body, but it can be confused sometimes by signals if it's not clean. So try to make sure that you have a period in time where you can really clean up your nutrition, really clean up your body. Then you will understand what is actually causing your body discomfort, because you can then more easily isolate it, right? So that's a big one. And Sherry says cooking. Yes, cooking, exactly. And Cheryl says that is so true. Yes, cooking from home, absolutely. And Terry said as well. Jennifer said food cooked at home tastes way better to me. Absolutely. And you don't taste all the additives and chemicals that a lot of the restaurants put in there, right? And then number 14 is consistency. So what I mean by this for healthy eating is consistency in the way you eat. So it's about true lifestyle change. So healthy eating is not a diet. I always say to people, when I have my containers of food, people be like, oh, are you still on a diet? I'm like, I've been eating like this for 10 years. I don't know if I don't know if this is a diet. Like you mean lifestyle change, Correct people when they say that to you, because it's like no, diet has the word die in it, and I have no interest in dying by being on a diet. I want to make lifestyle changes, and that's what I want to teach my clients is lifestyle changes, is that you are making real changes in the way you look at food, in the way you learn about how this food affects your body, what causes inflammation, how do I combine my macro meals together, how do I know what to look for when I go to the grocery store. So these are things, that's why I teach the way I do. 21 day, you're starting to get a hang of it, because you're starting to see, like, I want you to go through your pantry, I want you to do this, I want you to look for this. Transformation clients or FFF clients, you guys know we're doing the same thing with you. We making sure you understand concepts so that you can truly make a lifestyle change and not just follow cookie cutter programs, not just have me give you a meal plan, because meal plans will work temporarily, but they are a disservice to you long term. Is a disservice to you long term, because you'll take that meal plan, you'll follow it for a month, 2 months, maybe 3 months, and if you are amazing, 6 months. But at some point, you're going to go, I can't follow this meal plan anymore. I need to eat other stuff. And then you don't know how to make decisions on food, how to combine your foods together, what the macros look like, what that looks like. So coming back to number 13, it's about consistency and lifestyle change, meaning the way I want you to think about healthy eating is that you actually truly understand your nutrition so that you can go anywhere in the world, travel anywhere, go to any restaurant, and you understand the decisions you need to make about food. That is always my goal when I teach people about nutrition. Okay. And again, going back to the 80-20 doesn't mean you can't have something fun. I'll have a small piece of cake, if it's in front of me. Sure, if it's for a celebration, sure, I will, and people always are really surprised by that. Like, they'll be like, is Clarice eating? I'm like, yeah, I am. Yes, absolutely. Here, it's really tasty. Take a picture, because I want people to not be afraid to enjoy a little bit. But I think for 80% of the time to 90% of the time, you should be very clean, and depending on your goals. Now, if I was competing, or if you're a competitor on here, you know what it's like. You won't take that piece of cake because you want to be shredded on stage, but most of you are not competitors on here, right? So hopefully that helps, some of the things to think about what healthy eating means. So if you are on here and you want to truly have long-term sustainable lifestyle changes, I want you to put lifestyle there. Now, I want you to put lifestyle because I really want you to put into your mind that you're not looking for a diet. You're not looking for the next newest approach. What I teach you is I want you to sustain this way of eating for the rest of your life. And that's really important because if you keep looking for diets, you're going to yo-yo up and down, and you're going to be good on the program, and then you're going to fall way off the program. The goal is that you understand nutrition and you always maintain that level of standard in your life. Not that you don't have a little bit of fun, like I said, but it's like that standard is always there, and then you're always healthy. That's the goal, right? So if you want to have lifestyle change, put lifestyle below. I see Monica, I see Rena. Yeah. And Natalie says, I was shy to put in my log today. I had steak tartare, fries, and red wine. Natalie's in the FFF program. At least you are honest, right? Honesty is the key. So, but Natalie, if that is a one-off thing, that's fine. But if you do that every week, then maybe not, right? So we want to make sure we understand like that 80-20 is like, is this a once in a while thing, or are we starting to do this too much, right? So hopefully that makes sense and that answers all of your questions. Thank you everyone for sticking with me. Yeah, I think there's no more questions. Oh, there was a question. What was your question, Rosalinda? It was, oh, what to eat before a workout, correct? That was what you asked, Rosalinda, at the top. So here's the thing is, my take on what you eat before a workout is pretty much what I teach every one of my clients is you still need to have a pretty macro balanced meal, because I believe your macro balance of your meal is the most important to maintain throughout your day. But I will agree that like before you work out, fats are a little bit less important because fat slows down your digestion. So you could potentially go a little bit less with fat and a little bit higher in carbs potentially because you are about to work out. But then it can get confusing because then you're trying to adjust these macros here before and after, when it's like probably just easier if you know that you need to balance all the macros in every single meal. So I like to teach a balance, but you're right. If you are like Rosalinda, if you're a competitor, which you were before, maybe you are planning to, then yes, it would probably make sense that you may need a little bit higher level of carbs going into that workout and slightly less fat, just like I said, right? So yeah, something to think about. And Rosalinda said, yeah, lifestyle change, pre-workout meal. Yeah. So yeah, and I would say too, like before you work out, you want to make sure that it's not too big of a meal because your body still has to digest it. So, but it shouldn't really be that different. So if you are taught by me, you know I don't like big meals. I like smaller meals. So if you're already actually eating smaller meals, then it should be easy to digest. Like I was literally at the gym yesterday. I was at an event with Oshone and I went to the gym right after habit stacking. I had my meal with me and I'm like in the locker room, like eating my meal. And then this like gal is leaving and she's like looking at me, she's like, wow, impressive. I'm like, yep, eating my meal before the workout, you know? So I just eat my balanced meals before a workout, Rosalinda. So I don't change it that much, but at a high level, like competitive level, yes, I would say then that really matters. But for general lifestyle, I would say like balance, just balance your macros. That would be the best approach and the easiest approach. So hopefully that makes sense. Any other questions before I wrap up here? Yeah, I see lots of lifestyle. So we will get back to you. All right. If not, I hope that helped. I hope that answered a lot of your questions. I know a lot of you like Q&As, so last one of the year, but if you still like Q&As, let me know because we might do some in the new year in 2024, okay? Oh, I see one more question come in. Should you take probiotics after you're sick from an intestinal bug from a week? Yes, I would encourage that. Now, depending on what kind of bug you have, so I would say, Yvonne, like that might have to be checked with your doctor. But usually if you've been really sick or you've been on antibiotics, taking probiotics is usually a really good thing to do because it rebalances your gut microbiome. Okay, awesome. All right. Sending you all lots of love and I will see you guys next week.